All right, guys, we're back in the shop today. We're going to be doing, yep, you guessed it, a tape crawl today. One of our local fishermen here just fell in love with these things a couple years ago and has requested that I do a few more. Last ones I did for him were in a really bright pattern, so he's still got that one. I'm going to do a couple of realistic crawls today. You can see that I have cut out a stencil here to do my tape with. You guys can see that on camera there. And then I've also got another stencil that I cut just out of the pattern for it to do my shell lines with. But I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. I've got a couple other ideas. But I'm going to take you guys along while we get this tape crawl done. And then we'll see the finished product and see what they look like. All right, so for our base coat, we're going to be doing Titan Buff. Wanted to I want this to show through, and you'll see what I'm going to do with it here in just a second. Let's get this laid down. Let's turn that pressure down just a touch. And the Titan Buff is, like I said, it's going to be just a base coat that I want to show through. It's going to look kind of neat when it's done, but you'll barely be able to see any of the Titan Buff when this lure is finished up. Having to spray it on a little thicker than I usually like to, because I didn't do a white base. A lot of my stencil materials are just household materials. Like you can see that right there. It's just a ribbon, some sort of mesh ribbon. You can find a lot of this stuff at Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Looks kind of funny when a dude's walking through Hobby Lobby with a basket full of stuff, but do what you got to do, and it saves some money on the back end. Instead of having to order all this expensive stuff from all these different companies, you can just find it local, and you've got it right there in your hand. My wife always gets after me because I never want to order anything, but I'm the type of person that just wants to. I want to get it and have it. I don't want to wait on it. Which sometimes can be a bad thing, but sometimes it can be a good thing. I promise you guys, I'm going to take you guys on a shop tour soon. What you're hearing is me trying to get my alligator clips out here so we can get this mesh wrapped on here. I'm just going to wrap this mesh around here. Try to get it as tight as you can. Put a clip on it first, right here on the tape. So let's use big clips for this. Use a little clip on the back here. But you want to get it down as tight as you can because you don't want paint to go under your stencil. And you really got to turn your pressure down. That's why I'm really considering using candy colors on this first part. Candy colors are weird too. Like they will absolutely bleed through on you. So if you try to paint a candy color and then go over it with something, I have learned that it will 100% bleed through whatever you have painted. It can create some pretty cool effects, but it can also ruin a paint job really quick. Get this tightened down here on this front section. I really don't want to mess with that tape. All right, so there's one down. I'll bring you guys back once I've got the other one done. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go over it. I think I am going to do, you always want to do your lightest colors first with this, because you're going to be blending, and you want your darker colors to, my darker colors will always be up towards the back, with the exception of the crawl lines, which I think I am going to do the tequila yellow. So one bad thing about Createx paints I have noticed on a lot of them, if you don't use them, they will gel up, especially when it gets cold. So try. I don't have any other choice on this side of it, but I can't keep my shop climate control because I am working in a storage unit, and I do have to turn the power off when I leave. Kind of one of the stipulations of being a renter here. It will be nice once we end up moving and I can have a shop in the house again. That's how I started. I actually started in my garage, built a little small paint booth out of one of those metal storage racks. And it kind of morphed into something more as I started fishing more. Got a little bit more people asking me for stuff. When we moved, I knew I couldn't keep it in the small garage at the new house where we're staying right now. Just not enough room. All right, so we're going to go in with this. Let me turn this pressure way down because you don't want it super, super thick, especially with candy colors. And I know a lot of people will use a media to disperse the candy. I just like to just spray it straight out of the bottle. It's always done fairly well for me. And we're just going to lightly go in, just kind of give it a brownish tone. And we'll come back in and brighten that up here in just a minute. But what's happening is that stencil pattern is going to show through. We're just trying to give it a really natural look. You don't want to go too dark. I have done that before and it does not look good. I'm using my detail brush. It really sprays the candies really well. Get that candy out of the gun really quick. All right, trying a little bit of the nickel azo gold. Like I said, it's got a little bit more of a metallic color to it. I'm just going to come right in and spray right over top of this tequila yellow to kind of brighten it up all around the top edges. You can see where it's kind of brightening that up along that top edge there. Especially this time of year, crawls are starting to get darker on their backs. So one thing that it is doing that I like is, I don't know if you can see it inside there, but it is starting to give it like a little acid effect, which is going to really mimic a crawfish shell really, really well. So I may end up putting a little bit more on this guy here just to try to see if we can mimic that again. But you can tell that tequila yellow, it really shines back through anything you do over top of it, which is kind of cool in certain aspects. And reveal. And there you go. So you got those little lines there. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to mimic that natural craw shell. And this lure will have some black in it, like your shell outlines will be black. That's the part that's really tricky, is making sure you do not go too dark with that or get too thick. Make sure your lines don't get too thick. So you really want to stay away from this tape line. You want to come back here on this tape line, make it really fine right through there. So I may end up actually cutting a separate stencil to use on this. Not sure I'm going to be a huge fan of the one that I cut here. You can kind of see right through there. I was trying to cut those lines really fine, and I don't think I got them as fine as I want them, so I probably will do a separate stencil. It'll almost give it what I'm thinking about doing is just giving it a lot of shadowing in the craw shell. But all right, so I'm gonna go over the back with this. And we're going to really darken it up here in just a second with the sepia. But I'm only going to do it in certain areas. We're going to kind of give it a mottled look. That's a fun word. I'm going to try to do my crawl lines with ink, with black ink. See how it works. I really like using my detail gun for it because I can turn the pressure way down. The ink spray really good at super low pressures. So we're going to try that. Let's get some sepia on there. Don't need a lot. Again, I told you guys before, when I first started, I would fill this cup almost halfway up just because I thought you had to. Thought I was going to run out. A little bit of paint goes a long way. So you're just going to darken it down just a little bit. Just going to darken a little bit right through here. Don't want a lot. Kind of the surprise color for me that has been doing really well for this gentleman is hot mustard. I did on those rock crawlers. He is wearing them out on that color. I think it's been a hit for him on Claytor Lake and on Smith Mountain Lake, which if you know anything about Claytor Lake, if you're not from around our area, it is a super small lake. It gets a ton of pressure. I mean, the fish, I don't think there's a fish in that lake that hasn't been caught at least 5 times. There is especially during the summer, there's a tournament on that lake every night, just about during the summer, and they get beat to death. So they're kind of finicky of a lot of different lures and techniques and stuff like that. Forward facing sonar it's helped me out a lot. I know that's kind of a taboo topic right now, but forward facing sonar has helped me out a lot in my fishing journey as far as learning what fish like, what they don't like. It's kind of neat because as a painter, I can create a lure, take it out there and see how they're reacting to that lure in real time, instead of having to just guess at what the fish are doing. I can see if they run right up on it and stop and then turn away, I know something's not right. So I can switch lures, try different stuff out, which is kind of cool for a creator to do. Somebody that's actually making lures. All right, so let's grab our black ink. I just use Liquitex acrylic inks for this. This is carbon black. I'm just going to do the bottom part of that shell, and then I'm going to cut the camera and figure out which stencil I want to use. So let's get our little block out that I told you guys about last time, and in the first video you guys saw it. I can get these things on an angle, and I can really fine tune it as far as how I want the. You guys may see my head in the lure here in just or in the frame here in just a second. But yeah, you really want to go fine with this, and just barely go around that. See, I got a little dark right there, a little dark in that area, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, that'll be good. Then when I go back in with shading, it'll all look like it makes sense. See, that's the one part you don't like about inks, or that I don't like about inks, is that when you get too much pressure, and I'm spraying way too much pressure right now. You really want it down in the low range. And certain airbrushes really like to spray inks, and some don't. You really, at this point, you just want it to look more like a shadow than anything else, instead of a hard line. And unfortunately, a lot of that just turned into a hard line. It's okay, though. We'll fix it. We may end up switching back over to the Iwata and using regular paints on the rest of the crawl shell. This is my second master airbrush, and I've had some issues with it when it first got it. It wouldn't spray. I think it's starting to have that same type of issue, but I may just have it may just be that I have the wrong needle in it. All right, we'll just leave that right there for now. All right, I'm going to come back here in just a minute once I cut this other stencil or figure out which other stencil I'm going to use, and then we'll go from there. So guys, what I have is just a piece of cardboard that I've just torn off, just kind of a little corner. Learned this trick from Whitney Thompson over at Crawdaddy's Customs. Watched him a lot when I first started. And what you want to do is just line it up with, I don't know if you can see the little corner of that little crawl shape there. Just line up the corner wherever you want your gun to get, or your paint to go. And the problem figured out the problem with my airbrush. I had the wrong needle in it. I must have put the wrong needle in when I was putting everything together when I got it in the mail. Still don't know what was causing all the paint to go back up into the actual airbrush though. So just doing a little crawl pattern just like so. You got a little bit of a shadow. It looks like it has a shadow behind that, which makes it a little more realistic. But you want it to be kind of random. Nothing, as I've said before, nothing in nature is perfect. So there's always going to be some sort of variations. And it just kind of adds to the realism. Especially when you have shadows. Like I got a little too dark right there, but that's okay. Didn't get as quite a fine a line as I wanted on that one. And we're gonna flip this up so that it holds up just like so. Then again, we're just gonna start off at that line right there. The nice part about these crankbaits is that they are flat sides. That is the wrong color. They are flat sides, so my stencil just lays down perfect on it. And again, I'm just trying to stay as close to the edge of that stencil as I can without getting too much paint on the blank. There we go. You want a little bit of a shadow, but you don't want it to look out of place. Trigger control really comes in handy here, and I still struggle with that after 4 years. It's just a skill that you have to try to figure out and figure out what works for you. Now, what I typically do is I will try to connect these across the top. Did it on the other one. Scratched it a little bit, which does happen. It really does. But you want to go the same direction that you were going the first time. And I'm just going to set that down just like that. You want to do that so that your shadow is pointing the same direction. And you just move him up. It's okay if you miss one. Sometimes they're little shells they tuck in and bend in weird areas. I'm going to put just the smallest little dab of glue on there. Let's see how this eye looks. I'm not convinced that I got it cut right. Yeah, it actually works out pretty good. It's a little better than I thought it was going to. Kind of excited to get this tape off here so you guys can see what the rest of the lure is supposed to look like without the tape on it. It's kind of a neat little process. All right. Well, we are coming to a close here. I'm going to get all the tape off of these things, and I will bring you guys back here in just a second. All right, guys, here is the finished product. You can see that green in those shadows and all that down in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully it's focusing in good. Hopefully these are going to bring Chris over at Chris Casts Outdoors some good luck this winter and spring. He loves this blank. He catches a lot of fish on it. But next time you see these guys, we'll be over on his channel. Hopefully hanging out of the mouth of a giant. But stay tuned for the next episode. Not sure what we're going to do yet. We may do some, may force some jigs and tie some jigs on camera. I'll show you guys how I do my paint on my jigs, a little powder coating action. But we'll figure it out soon.